What drives a person to target vulnerable victims and carry out gruesome murders over years? The chilling case of the Long Island serial killer, or LISK, shook the nation when bodies began to surface along Gilgo Beach in Suffolk County, New York. For over a decade, the mysterious deaths of multiple women haunted investigators and the public alike. In 2023, the case took a dramatic turn with the arrest of Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan-based architect with a dark double life. His arrest not only shed light on his crimes, but also revealed a disturbing portrait of a man who thrived on control, deception, and violence. The story begins in May 2010, when Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old sex worker, vanished after fleeing a client's home in Oak Beach, a small community near Gilgo Beach. Shannon had placed a frantic 911 call, claiming someone was trying to kill her. But her disappearance remained a mystery. 7 months later, during a routine search for Shannon, police stumbled upon a burlap sack containing human remains. This discovery marked the beginning of one of the most notorious murder investigations in U.S. history. Over the following months, 3 more sets of remains were unearthed, all buried along a remote stretch of Ocean Parkway. These victims, Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello, were all young women who had been sex workers. Each body was wrapped in burlap, a detail that pointed to a methodical and organized killer. Their deaths bore eerie similarities. They had been strangled, and their remains showed signs of being stored before burial. The methodical disposal of the bodies in a single area suggested the killer had intimate knowledge of the terrain, perhaps someone who lived nearby or frequently traveled through the region. The discoveries didn't stop there. In 2011, police expanded their search and found 6 more bodies, bringing the total to 10 victims. Among them was the dismembered torso of a woman whose remains had been found years earlier on Fire Island, the skeletal remains of a toddler, and an unidentified Asian male. The diversity of the victims raised questions about whether one killer or multiple killers were responsible. For years, the case went cold. Leads dried up, and the community lived in fear, knowing a predator was lurking nearby. Families of the victims grew increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress, accusing law enforcement of neglecting the case because the victims were sex workers. The media dubbed the unidentified murderer the Long Island serial killer, and the case became a symbol of the challenges in tracking organized, methodical killers who exploit society's marginalized. Despite the mounting pressure, law enforcement struggled to find new leads, and the case remained unsolved for years. The community held vigils and memorials, hoping to keep the memory of the victims alive and to push for justice. So the question is, who could have done this? In 2022, a renewed effort by a multi-agency task force breathed new life into the investigation. The breakthrough came when advancements in forensic technology allowed investigators to revisit old evidence with fresh eyes. Rex Heuermann, a 59-year-old architect who owned a small firm in Manhattan and lived in Massapequa Park, emerged as a suspect. Heuermann had maintained an unassuming public image, described by colleagues as meticulous, introverted, and highly intelligent. Behind this facade, however, he harbored a sinister secret. Investigators linked him to burner phones used to contact the victims, each registered under fictitious names. They uncovered email accounts Heuermann had used to solicit sex workers traceable through digital forensics. His cell phone records placed him in proximity to the burial sites, at times corresponding to the disappearances of the victims. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts described a man matching Heuermann's appearance, frequenting areas where the victims were last seen. Perhaps the most damning evidence came from the burlap sacks used to wrap the victims. Forensic scientists found hair fibers matching both Heuermann and his wife on the remains. The discovery of his wife's hair raised eyebrows, but investigators clarified that she was out of state during the murders, eliminating her as a suspect. The presence of her hair likely resulted from secondary transfer from their shared home, further implicating Heuermann. Searches of his residence uncovered additional evidence, including weapons, maps of Gilgo Beach, and disturbing online searches that reflected an obsession with the murders. Heuermann's arrest in July 2023 was a bombshell. Neighbors in Massapequa Park described him as reclusive but polite, with no outward signs of his dark double life. The revelation that such a calculated killer could hide in plain sight for years sent shockwaves through the community. The psychological profile of Rex Heuermann painted a chilling picture. Experts described him as highly organized, methodical, and devoid of empathy. He displayed traits consistent with psychopathy, including a lack of remorse and an ability to compartmentalize his violent actions from his professional and family life. Heuermann's selection of sex workers as victims suggested he preyed on those he believed were vulnerable and less likely to be missed. His ability to maintain a facade of normalcy, working as a respected architect while carrying out brutal murders, underscored the terrifying duality of his personality. Investigators believe he took pleasure in the control and deception involved in his crimes, thriving on the power he wielded over his victims and the authorities who sought to catch him. The case against Heuermann is still unfolding. He's been charged with the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello, with authorities investigating his connection to other victims. His arrest marks a significant breakthrough in a case that had stumped law enforcement for over a decade. The use of forensic advancements, including cell tower triangulation, DNA analysis, and digital forensics, was instrumental in building the case. These tools turned what once seemed like an impenetrable mystery into a solvable puzzle, highlighting the importance of evolving technology in modern criminal investigations. The Long Island serial killer case serves as a grim reminder of the horrors that can hide behind a mask of normalcy. How does someone like Rex Heuermann maintain such a double life for so long? And how many more lives could have been saved if he had been caught sooner? Leave a comment below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.